What is up, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned into a very special edition of the HFWB Podcast Series. This is your host, Clifton Pope, and we're making history, y'all, when I say this. I have my first official return guest to the HFWB Podcast Series. For those who listen to my podcast, I can't even believe it at times as far as the guest list, as far as amount of people who I've had. This person who I'm about to bring on included. But she came back. She took time out of literally her busy training, fighting schedule, whatever you want to call it, just to come and hang out with yours truly on the HFWB Podcast Series. For those who don't know who I'm talking about, go listen to episode 41 of the HFWB Podcast Series to get a better idea for part 1, because we're now on part 2. And if you haven't figured out who I'm talking about at this very moment, I got my friend Miss Marina Robles back on the HFWB Podcast Series, everybody. Welcome back, Marina. It has been so long.
Thanks for having me back on.
Yes, and of course, and the main reason why I wanted to bring you back is you, my friend, have been on a little bit of a roll lately, that from what I've been seeing. If I'm not mistaken correctly, for the people who don't know, Marina Robles, so she's basically an up-and-coming mixed martial artist fighter. I would go listen to episode 41 to have that more story explained in better details, because she could explain it better than I can. But just in case, for people who may have forgotten Marina, give them a quick rundown as far as where you come from and where you are at this very moment.
Okay. Well, I am a MMA fighter out of Weapons at Hand, mixed martial arts. Right now I'm amateur and I am in pursuit of going pro. So I have had a few fights. I actually have one lined up for September 11th on Fury. So that will actually be live streamed on their Facebook page. And then the main card will be shown on UFC Fight Pass. So it's a pretty big platform. I'm really excited. Yeah, like the whole team is pretty excited. There's a few amateurs. It's myself and 2 others that are going to be on this fight card. But yeah, we are fighting out of Corpus Christi, Texas. I have a little, well, not a little business, but it's booming right now. It's a hair care business that I started, as well as I have my sponsors too that I rep.
That is beautiful, and it's crazy. You just touched on something, Maria. I did not know this was going to be on UFC Fight Pass. So it's like you're moving on up from since the last time we talked in February, and I just want to say I'm super proud of you first and foremost, because I knew from whenever we talked back in February, I already knew that you were going to be like a star in the making, and you're pretty much just proving exactly what I already saw at that exact time. It's just that hunger. I could tell when somebody has hunger and determination in their eyes, because I myself show it and I know how it looks like. I want to ask you, Marina, where does that come from? Like, where does that spark come from? I have to know.
That's a good question. I mean, I would say, of course, the way I was raised, my parents, they definitely raised me to really like go all in whenever doing something and to not quit. So I think just having that like resilience built in at an early age, and then of course once I started like growing up and finding the things that I was really into, that resilience like transferred over. Instead of quitting early when I wasn't able to get certain things, I guess, down, I just hunkered down, and like you said earlier, having hunger to learn, and just kind of took things from there. Like I just didn't give up, but I've always been that way.
And it feels like I want to add on to that. What you're describing, Marina, is simple. It's basically Mamba mentality. And ironically enough, it is the late great Kobe Bryant's birthday today. So you're basically, yeah, it really is. It's funny how all that kind of ties into what you're saying and everything, because the whole purpose of Mamba mentality, as you know, Marina, is basically being the best version of yourself that you can be every single day. And I feel like you channel that better than anybody, and that's what translates into your overall fighting and everything. And I feel like that's been working out to your advantage, because last I checked, you're like on a 2-fight winning streak, if I have that correct.
Almost. So I am 1-1 right now. So the first one I did lose, but the second one, this past one I did win by rear naked choke. And then just gonna keep that streak going.
Okay. You won by rear naked choke. As far as like the overall your style of fighting, if for anyone who wants to know Marina Robles the fighter, what kind of style you represent, how would you best describe it?
I'm an MMA fighter. I definitely I love wrestling. Actually, that's how I started in high school, and then I did striking. I did Muay Thai for a couple of years. But I definitely I want to be a well-rounded MMA fighter. It is different combining the two skills, so it is its own art of itself. So that's definitely my goal. I want to be a well-rounded MMA fighter.
What would you say is your favorite style out of wrestling, kickboxing, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because I know you train in all three, if not more. But out of all the fighting styles, which one would you say you have the most fun doing? And at the same time, which one would you say is the most challenging one?
Definitely, I have two favorites. I love wrestling and I love Muay Thai. I think wrestling, just starting that in high school, that definitely is a soft spot, a sentimental spot. Once a wrestler, always a wrestler. But I love how you can always improve. Even myself, I'm still improving. Right now, I'm actually training at a wrestling gym here in Corpus. It's called Texas Style Wrestling Club. So it definitely hones in on the wrestling by itself. But then I love Muay Thai. I love the art of 8 limbs, the striking. It's so brutally beautiful, I guess is the best way to put it. The strikes,
beautiful.
The strikes are painful, but it's such an art. It's really it's pretty to watch sometimes.
Well, it's an art when you know how to master it and when you know how to utilize it to your advantage. Of course, it could become an art. And at the same time, it's probably brutal within the overall learning process of just trying to master it. I can imagine because I can understand, because when I grew up, I used to be in martial arts myself all the way from 6th to 8th grade. So I kind of have an idea as far as the training aspect and the mental capacity that you have to do that. So it's I can understand to a certain extent, but not all the way because obviously martial arts, Muay Thai, two different things, etc. and all that. But overall, how did this fight that came about that's going to go on in September, how did all of this come together? Did you ever think you would see yourself now moving up to now you're fighting in Houston and moving on up to the next big thing?
I did see that in the future for myself just because it was a goal and I knew that I was going to reach it. I just didn't expect it to be this soon. So I actually joined the Weapons at Hand, the fighting team, almost exactly a year ago to the upcoming fight date. So within these past months, I've been growing and training and fighting, getting multiple fights under my belt. And it's just so crazy how quick it's all happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like you were just doing your most previous fight, and then you came out of nowhere, boom, there goes another one, and it's it's all about just perfecting your craft at the end of the day, and it ties in with everything all together. And it's if you had the opportunity to describe what is just your overall day consisting of all the training and everything, how would you best describe it to the average person as far as what you overall go through?
It's definitely a lifestyle, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but it definitely is, because it's not even just when I'm training in the gym either, or when I'm at my training sessions. It's down to the food I'm eating, how much water I'm taking, the rest that I'm getting, even down to the people that I surround myself with too, people that are going to breed success and not doubt, and belief, you know what I mean? I want to be around a certain atmosphere, certain people too that are going to motivate me and push me. So it's literally, it bleeds into every aspect of life. But as far as the day-to-day training, I work out, I lift weights every day, Monday through Friday. Sometimes on Saturday, if I'm feeling I just have extra energy, I will.
Feel like you're in a good mood and you got that extra pump in
Yeah.
you.
But for sure, in like the strength and conditioning, of course, I had a knee injury in the past, so I'm working certain strength things for my knees, my back, my arms, and things like that. And then, of course, I have my training that I actually do through Weapons at Hand or through Texas Style Wrestling Club, Navarre's BJJ Academy. So those are the ones that I do in the afternoon usually. And that's going to be the classes that are there at my home gym. And during the day, I will go into the gym and do bag work or sprints or whatever it is that's on the schedule for myself that day.
I got you. I got you. Marina, I'm amazed on how you even balanced everything out, because I remember you were telling me this the other day that things were a little bit hectic at first, but now that you have a system in place and everything is flowing more smoothly, I can imagine it's probably a little bit more peaceful. I mean, you're balancing out your fight schedule, you're balancing out your family time, and at the same time, you're balancing out what you alluded to, your hair care business, the Monet stuff, the rock athlete stuff. It's incredible, and it's like, what would you say as far as from the business side and the entrepreneur side of things? What would be like your key piece of advice you would give to someone who's looking to venture into that lane, as far as being like their own entrepreneur and basically being their own boss, really? Because that's what you are, Marina. I don't know if you realize that or not, but with everything you have going on, you're basically defining how to be your own boss and how to be your own entrepreneur at that.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
No, of course, I mean that.
So I guess I would have to say embracing the journey, embracing the ups and the downs. I mean, so, like, I don't even view myself sometimes as like that business owner, because I'm still on the grind, on the journey too. But that's part of it. And those that give up early, unfortunately, don't get to see the end result. But if you keep going and keep going, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? As the saying goes.
Yeah.
It's going to take time.
I
Sometimes
agree.
it takes years. And sometimes it does happen overnight. But the main thing is just not quitting, because eventually it will happen. Like, if that is your goal, you do the steps to get there, then you're going to get there. It's time.
Exactly. It's just about enjoying the journey versus rushing to get to the destination, because you're going to get to the destination eventually. But when you do, you're going to wind up asking yourself at some point, okay, I'm here. Is there more to this? Okay, what happens next? What are you going to do when that happens? That's pretty much what I always like to say, and I feel like that's exactly what you're telling me as well. And it's incredible. It really is. What I was also going to ask you, Marina, was as far as, I know you have like a whole list of sponsors and everything. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot on this one. I'm sorry, but I was thinking about this earlier. But I know you have a list of sponsors, right? If you had to pick which one you feel like has benefited you the most and changed your life currently at this very moment the most, which one would it be?
That's so difficult, because I love all of my sponsors, you know? So definitely, I would say the one that has the largest platform is definitely Rock's Discount. So they are well known, not just throughout South Texas, but through all of Texas, as a supplement and vitamin company, and they're super discounted, which is really helpful for like everybody. And it's not just geared towards bodybuilding. They have stuff for everybody, weight loss, elderly, and you name it, you ask them, they will even find something that's along the lines of what you're looking for. So they really do meet the needs of everyone. But yeah, they've definitely helped me out too, and have met my needs as far as nutrition goes, making sure that my weight gaining is done in a healthy way. Not just like all junk food and stuff, but I'm actually getting the protein that I'm needing and the carbs that I'm needing. And of course, the things that I need for performance too, and recovery, which is a huge, huge plus, because you recover well, you perform well.
I love that. You recover well and you perform well. I mean, people are so hyped about the performance aspect, they forget they got to let their body and their mind recover, or else it's going to lead to burnouts. I'm victim of that, and I've suffered that a couple times to where I had to learn the hard way, but I understand it's a balance. It really is a balance. But overall, I want to let you know, Marina, that I appreciate everything that you're doing. I salute everything that you're doing. I'm going to ask you basically a few more questions just so I can give people a little bit of a bit better insight about you, because I feel like your story is incredible. As a matter of fact, is there anything you want to say that's coming up at the end of this year that you feel like is going to surprise people?
Right now, the main focus is this fight, the one coming up September 11th. So, I mean, of course, any future fights are going to be in focus, but I'm taking them one fight at a time, one opponent at a time. Of course, we also have talks of stuff later on down the year goes as it gets closer towards the end of the year. But yeah, right now my main focus is September 11th.
September 11th. And if anyone hasn't figured out by now, through listening to this podcast interview, Marina Robles is basically going to be having her third fight. It's going to be in Houston, Texas, and it's going to be, like she said, September the 11th. And who is your opponent exactly? I forgot who to
pronounce her name. Danya Cruz. It's either Dania or Danya Cruz.
Dania or Danya
and she's
Cruz.
actually been on Fury a few times before. I believe her record is 2-3, I think. So she's been a few times in the ring as well. So I'm really excited because we both have the whole experience behind us. Some of my opponents in the past were either like leaning more towards grappling or leaning more towards striking. And some of the same for her opponents. So I'm excited because it seems like we're both pretty well rounded. So it's gonna be a good match. It'll be really entertaining.
I got you. And you got any more merchandise or anything you want to let the people know about, Marina? This is your time to let them know.
Yeah, shirts, the fight shirts. I have them $20 a shirt. They can cash at me or reach out to me on Instagram. That way I can get them their shirt. Actually, the last day to order them will be next Saturday. That way I can get the shirts made and everyone can have them on time for fight night.
I'm glad that you reminded me of that, because I need to get me one of them shirts. I'm like, damn. I'm like, how do I not have one? Like I've seen the last shirts, and I'm like, damn, I want one, but they be going so fast. I feel like I'll be missing out on everything. Now, usually, Marina, this is usually the part where I like wind everything down a little bit, but from the last time, I'm going to kind of switch up the last set of questions that I'm about to ask you and anything. As far as, we're going to stick this to basically fighting, of course. If you had to pick one male and one female mixed martial artist fighter, doesn't matter whether it's UFC, Bellator, whatever, who would you say has had the most influence on you and why?
Oh man, okay, so female, she actually started out with Muay Thai, but her name is Stomp Fairtex. She is at one championship. She now does both Muay Thai and the MMA as well. But I am obsessed with her aggression. I love her aggression levels, her strikes. Like, she just goes in, she knows what she can do, she's confident, and she executes it all the time. If you haven't looked up her fights, you should look them up on YouTube. It's incredible. But yeah, she's definitely my...
What did you say the name of her was?
Stomp Fairtex. And she fights for one championship. I believe she's also an atom weight too, so she's my weight class. So she's been a real big inspiration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't come to the point where idols and meet rivals.
You know
that type
what?
of thing. I hope it doesn't come
crazy.
to that.
That would be an honor, honestly. I'd be like, oh my god, I can't believe it's happening. For males,
yeah, that would be mind blowing.
Yeah, for the males, I would have to say, probably Demetrius Johnson. My coach actually has me studying him a lot because he too is short like me. So his style is also very similar. Like, I like to press forward. I like to give pressure. I'm not afraid to get in there and bang. So his style is very similar as far as aggression goes, pressing forward, that pressure. So I watch him a lot to learn his techniques and mimic the way he moves, because I can use that to my advantage. I'm just kind of watching how he gets around the same obstacles that I have to deal with, height-wise, and stuff like that. So.
Now, sticking to that same category, out of all the fighters, male or female, who would you want to train with the most? Just as far as from a professional level, who would you want to train with?
Man, of course, either one of them. I want to meet DC for whatever reason. Daniel Cormier, yeah. I want to meet him so bad. But I would like to even train with like Valentina or even Khabib. I think that they would be really awesome.
Yeah, Khabib is just in a whole other class in itself. I feel like you shouldn't even compare him to all the other fighters. You should just put him on a stool where he belongs, and then everybody else can battle it out. I swear. But overall, non-fighting and just overall athlete perspective, who is your biggest inspiration, and who would you want to meet?
Who would I want to meet? I'm actually a fan of, oh my gosh, I totally just went mind blank. Of Vinny, I'm trying to remember his last name. It starts with a P. He's a boxer. Vinny Paziano or Pisani. I'm trying to remember. I look it up. But the reason being, there's actually a movie made about him that's fairly recent. I want to say it's called Bleed for This. So he was a boxer who got in a really bad car accident, and he went like paralyzed. I believe he hurt his neck like really bad, and he like pushed through it. He continued to train. Of course, the doctors and everyone thought he was crazy because he could super hurt himself even worse. But he didn't give up, and he continued, and he actually kept fighting. Like after that, he continued to box. So I actually found out about him whenever I had my ACL surgery, and so he was a big inspiration. And I was like, oh, okay, it's been done before. Like I can do this too, kind of a thing. I don't have to quit and give up my dream. So yeah, he was a big influence.
I think at this point, Marina, it's more than a dream at this point. It's slowly starting to become your reality within itself. And I feel like you can be like a big inspiration to that next up and coming fighter, because I feel like obviously you were just there. You've done very well at continuing to climb up the ranks. And I know that there's probably someone out there looking for that little bit of inspiration in regards to that. If you had a piece of advice you could tell that up and coming fighter who's trying to be where you are, and if not take it to the next level, what would you tell them?
Don't give up. Listen to coach. Go to practice if he tells you to go to practice. No, I know like that's one of the things that I have been dealing with as far as like work and things like that too. And a lot of other fighters out there with just that balance. But definitely just not giving up, like I mentioned earlier, embracing every moment, the good, the bad, and really clinging to those dearest to you, your family, your support system, your coach, your teammates. They're there in your path for a reason, and they're telling you what they're telling you for a reason. So if you follow the formula, you'll get there.
Yes, you will. And look where Marina is now, everybody. She's on her second go-around of the HFWB podcast series. She has her next fight coming up. She finna be fighting in Houston now, and before you know it, she gonna be fighting probably somewhere out of Texas. It wouldn't surprise me at the end of the year if you fighting in Vegas or something, Marina. I'll be like, I knew it. You remember that one time I told you? I knew it was gonna happen and everything.
We'll have to do a part 3 at that time.
Yeah, you gotta make like a documentary or something to let people get more deeper in tune with it, if anything.
That would be cool. One day, maybe one day.
One day, whenever you feel like you're comfortable in the tub, so to speak. But overall, Marina, hey, let everybody know where they can get access to this fight coming up, and let people know where they can find more about you, and just simply follow your story and journey, because it's an incredible one, by the way.
Thanks. So yeah, they can find me on Instagram. That is the platform I am most active on. My Instagram handle is @MarinaReneeDarling. I'm also on Facebook as well, but Instagram is just the one that I'm usually on the most. And then of course, if you're wanting tickets for the upcoming fight, September 11th, you can message me or Fury's promoter. I believe his name is Eric. But general admission, the tickets are $60, as well as they have tables ringside in the first row and in the second row. So whatever ones that you're wanting, just let me know and I can get you more details on that. I did want to thank my sponsors as well before I go. Rock's Discount, Reslos Media and Graphics. I have Oh My Lash Studio. I also have the training room that I do my injury prevention and care for, as well as, I'm not forgetting one, because I have so many. I've everyone has been so helpful along the journey. But then I have my other gyms too, as I mentioned, Weapons at Hand, the Texas Style Wrestling Club, and Navarre's BJJ.
And if anyone who's listening to this podcast right now haven't gotten this message, it's important to support local. I don't care what it is. You got to support everything local, because in order to grow and expand, you got to do it from home first before you could do it anywhere else, right? Yeah. And at the same time, it's all about unity in the community, which is why I feel like bringing you on for a second time and showing how much I support your journey and everything. It means a lot, because it's like, yes, this is, because you never know, because you could potentially be in the UFC maybe a year or two from now, and then you could look back on as far as never forgetting where you came from, etc. And that's kind of the message I want to leave y'all with. No matter how far you get within your successes and everything, always remain humble and keep it within the glory of God, because it started with God and it's going to end with God at the end of the day. And I want to leave everybody with that message. And at the same time, Marina, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule just to even make it onto the podcast once again. And anytime you have a fight coming up, you could come on my podcast as much as you like to talk about it. Yeah, of course. You deserve it. Yes. Well, for everyone listening to this special edition of the HFWB Podcast Series, this is your host, Clifton Pope. And with that being said, stay healthy, wealthy, and blessed. Till next time, everybody.